Okay, so we've got the hammers aligned. I could continue with the voicing process. There's kind of two parallel things that we're doing in the prep right now, working on making sure the tone is, where it needs to be, but also the touch. If there's anything to improve in the regulation, we can do that, through looking at that. So this is a new piano. It's come out of the Steinway factory. It's regulated pretty darn well. So we're just going to look at a few things that we might tweak that'll improve it.
And while Hyrum gets that ready, I actually am really excited about this part, even though this seems like the most minuscule part ever, because my piano went from not really repeating very well to repeating much, much better after he made this tiny little adjustment. So
yeah, so this one, I kind of skip some steps in regulation when I'm prepping a new Steinway because I know I can count on certain things.
Yeah.
The key travel is really good, really consistent. Where the hammers start, we might adjust that a little bit, but the thing that props up the hammers as you're pushing it is called the jack. This right here is the jack, the top of it.
Okay.
And it extends down below here to the jack tender. And this tender is what hits this button and allows that jack to trip forward so that you're not thrusting the hammer up to the string and going donk, right, and just holding it there. That's that escapement principle that people learn about, what made the piano possible, the pianoforte possible.
Can you maybe show us on this lowest note? Because you can actually usually
that's a great way to do it. So if you can you see the jack then, right here, the side of it?
Yep.
So it's going to hit this button on the front.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go ahead and keep pushing through escapement, and it's going to move forward. And now the hammer is free of the jack. Now on a grand piano, we have this lever right here, which is spring-loaded. It's on a spring. They call it the repetition lever.
Okay.
So that also kind of pushes up the hammer, and it helps reset. It applies a force, opposing force to the key to reset the key.
Okay.
While at the same time pushing the hammer up. If you saw that spring, this one's kind of weak. It barely pushed it up. We'll adjust that later.
Okay.
And that's what allows the jack to slip right back under the knuckle, and it's ready to go again.
Yeah, so just so everybody, because I'm filming so close. So as he pushes it up, the jack, or as he pushes the key down, the jack slips out. But then as he lets the key go, the jack resets underneath that knuckle. That's that little circular thing is the knuckle. See, and so then he's ready to play another note. That was, I believe, is that called double escapement? Or just escapement?
Escapement.
Yeah, that was a major innovation. Do you know did Steinway make that?
Cristofori?
Oh, it was Cristofori all the way back there.
So, the escapement principle.
Oh, I thought it was later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that what made the piano?
That's what made the pianoforte possible, right?
Okay.
You could, where you're throwing a hammer up against the strings instead of plucking them.
Oh, right. I'm just saying what is the double escapement? For the faster repetition.
The fact that it has the repetition lever here?
Right.
Oh, okay. I don't know when that came into play.
Okay.
They've been around a long time for sure.
Yeah.
In different forms. So yeah, I'm not good with my history, but it's what that's doing, like I said, it's helping it reset. I mean, you have to have that there. Watch, if you don't have it, and I push this through, let off, now, how's that jack going to get back under there?
I see.
It cannot, and the hammer does not lift, even though I'm pushing the key down. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a fluke. I hit it with my hand, but yeah. You get what I'm saying.
So
it's
yeah.
true.
And anybody watching this, you can leave a comment below if you know the history of when the double escapement came into play.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Josh.
Oh, go ahead.
So what I'm going to do now, I have some regulating screws in the action here. I'm going to shine a light on there. We might actually be able to see them. And these screws right here run through the jack, and there's a button on the other side so that I can set how far forward or back that jack position is.
Okay.
So watch, I'm going to turn this screw. Yeah, I'm going to go really extreme. I'm going to turn that button, and look, the jack is way towards me.
Okay.
Right?
Try that again, because
Okay, well, I'll go the other direction and
Okay.
you'll see it.
Sure.
So now, okay, I'm gonna see it moving.
Yep.
Back that way. I'll go as far as
Yeah.
I dare go
Sure.
without knocking the button off or
Okay.
screwing it too far. So you can see all these others are in a line. They're in a pretty good line right here.
Yeah.
But what this is doing is it's determining where the lift point is on this knuckle.
Okay.
And there's an optimal lift point, and they'll engineers will talk about, when it's tangent to the knuckle and so forth. What I've found, if you want to the optimal alignment for this on most actions here is the back side of the jack should line up with the back side of this wood core of the knuckle right here. So if you imagine an imaginary line continuing down, this is hard to show, but
Sure. And sorry.
an
I'm
imaginary
running away.
line continuing down from the back side of this, it should be flush with the back side of the jack. But what I find is if I want to kind of supercharge repetition, give a little more grip to the touch, and especially with trills and
Yeah.
repeating notes, things like that. I find if I on most actions, at least with the Steinways, if I set that jack just a little bit further back of what is textbook, it repeats a little bit better.
Further back, meaning towards the strings?
Away from me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what made such a difference in my piano. Like that fourth Paganini Etude, I've done a couple of poor renditions of it tonight as we're going back and forth. But those little finicky repeated notes, because I distributed so many of them into the right hand, to do like 1 and then 4-3 really quickly, like on a G sharp. That 4-3 just was kind of mushy and kind of glued down. It didn't fling back, and resetting that jack to a different position really allowed that to feel, I guess I would describe it as springier or more tacky feeling. So it gave me better control in my piano.
Yeah.
And every piano is different, and some people prefer different pianos, and some people can do different things on different pianos as well. So there are some pianists who love a really light action and they can repeat fast. Other pianists like the heavier tactile feel of an action that is heavier, and they feel they have better control. So it really does come down to personal preference. I think Hyrum's definitely saying, for most people they would like that, but you may not like it. So don't just ask your technician after watching this video, hey, move this all and it'll work.
Plus,
yeah.
As technicians, we get in patterns of how we set things, and after a while, like you're not aware of what you're actually doing or where you're actually setting that. For instance, I'm looking at this at an angle, so I know when I look at it, it's going to set it back where I want it. So a technician might be setting it this way and think he's or she is setting it the other way, or vice versa.
Yeah, forwards and back is kind of like
It's kind of relative. And
yeah.
it depends on where I put my line of sight as to how clearly I'm seeing that. But anyway, but I do, this player piano, there's a lot of repertoire on here from like just awesome players.
Oh yeah.
Yuja Wang plays the Smuggler on here, and they like to use that a lot in the showroom here at the store. And by the way, did we mention where we are tonight?
We did briefly, but yeah, why don't you?
So we're at Dane's Music, okay, the oldest music store in the West, basically. They've been a Steinway dealer since like 1873.
Wow.
Something like that. And one of the things I love working at Dane's here, because they're willing to put the time and the money into a full prep of a piano.
Sure.
A lot of times it's just out of the box. Let's make the most profit we can, turn it around, sell it. The customer might not know the difference.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting at a lot of places, so you do have to kind of be wary of that and be cognizant of what level of prep is going into this piano. Do I want to purchase from this particular buyer or this particular seller?
That's huge. I don't think I mean, it's almost like we're, sales plugging Danes here a bit, but I have a student in the Pro Practice Lifetime Access course, and I'm not going to tell where she's from because I don't want to black mark any Steinway dealers. But she said, why is it that I came to Utah? She bought a used piano here in Utah, actually. And she said, why is it that the used pianos here sound better than the brand new ones in the showroom? And I said, most likely it's the way it is prepped. I mean, you could say, oh, I like the older soundboards or whatever it is, but how a piano is prepped, you can, like when I first sat down at this piano tonight, it was obviously very good. It's not a bad piano, and I could play on it for hours and hours and enjoy myself. But after Hyrum's done with this work, it will be so much more.
Better be.
Well, I speak from experience, so I'm just gonna predict that yes, it will be significantly better, because he worked miracles on my piano. So that can make the difference. It almost does feel like a different piano often when these small adjustments are made. It's not like the piano changes so much that it's unrecognizable, but those little changes make your life easy. If you are always fighting a repetition, playing pieces with repeated notes is no longer fun. Or fighting that treble, like we've just been bringing that tone up, fighting that constantly is really exhausting. So
there's a lot of Steinway owners. I go into the home and the piano may have been tuned regularly, but the tuner may not have been so much a voicer, and they've been playing for years and years on just a mushy piano that's just really hard to voice out, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that much, really, especially with this, like with this chemical I'm using. You can put a drop on there, it dries in 5 minutes and makes a significant change.
Yeah.
We did drops on yours.
Yeah, drops.
Within
literally,
5-10 minutes, or 15 minutes, you kind of know where you're at already, and it's well worth it, you know, for the musical experience.
Yeah, I have a student in California, and she said, I think I need to sell my Yamaha because it's just getting too bright. Because like we discussed earlier, now all of you know it's a high compression hammer. They use that in Hamburg Steinways too. I think the hammers are different, but same process. That's correct, right?
The Hamburgs, yeah. They use
Hamburg and Yamaha both use high compression hammers.
Different hammers, but different makers, right? But the same principles.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, I'm so sad because this was a wedding gift from my husband from however many years ago, like a anniversary gift or wedding gift. And I said, well, don't give up on it yet. And I said, you should have your technician voice it. And the technician obviously didn't know what he was doing, because he said, oh no, I think all it needs is a tuning. And he tuned it, she still didn't like it. And I was like, well, it's time to look for a new technician. And so she got another technician in her area. They came out, they voiced the piano, and she was almost in tears the next lesson, like, this is like a new piano. So don't discount this prep work. This can take your piano from being, oh, that's a great piano, to, wow, this is world class. And a piano built as well as a Steinway. I know everyone says Steinways have their own individual voice, but I firmly believe that with the right prep work, you can get most new Steinways to sound as good as any piano. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And it's like the effort you put in on them, because there's so much sustain of sound and just good foundation of sound. The little work that we do as technicians on the factors that we can control make a big difference.
Yeah.
More so than some other pianos. So they're enjoyable to work on, very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, the money that we've put into our piano, just having Hyrum redo the action, I feel like was probably, besides buying the piano itself, the best money I've spent, because it just makes the process so enjoyable. So don't discount any of this. We'll let him finish up here. I'll stop rambling and we'll pick up on the next segment.